Hi, my name is Paul, and I'm super excited to be with you today for this third session of Out of the Living Room, how to love our community by being out in our community. And today we're going to talk about how to listen to our community. Last session we talked about listening to God and praying for our community the way that He wants us to pray. Today we're going to talk about listening to the community and really understanding what is going on. And we're going to do it in a really fun way that was informed by Moses sending the spies into the promised land. So bear with me, we'll get there, but I want to read that passage to you. It's pretty cool. So in Numbers chapter 13, verses 1 through 2 and 17 through 20, it says, "The Lord said to Moses, 'Send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I'm giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe, send one of its leaders.' When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, 'Go up through the Negev and on into the hill country. See what the land is like and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it or not? And do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land, because it was the season for the first ripe grapes.'" Now, Moses was sending these spies into the promised land to bring back important information as to the land that God was going to give the Israelites. And I think Moses just wanted to get a sense of what it was like, because I don't know if any of these people, probably none of them, had ever been there before. And so he was asking some important questions, both from a "this is going to be our home" kind of thing, as well as a "oh, we might have to conquer these people," or "we're going to have to conquer these people" approach. So he had to have both those things in mind as a leader. So he told them to look for 6 things. First of all, what is the land like? What was their general impression as a whole? 2, are the people strong or weak, few or many? 3, what kind of land do they live in? Is it good or is it bad? 4, what kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? 5, how is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it? And 6, he told them to do their best to bring back some of the fruit from the land. Now, as we look at that, it kind of gives us an idea of some things that we might look for when we're going into a new community. But we've got to kind of think of our modern equivalents, because I'm not sure if we're looking for fortified or unwalled cities or things like that, even though, you know what, there are some apartment complexes that can be pretty exclusive, and you have to have a code in order to get into them. So it may be not too far off. But if we're thinking about it, what were some of the equivalents of what Moses was asking the people to find, these spies to find? And I think I've come up with 8 different equivalents. You have economics. You know, what is the financial driving engine of the city that you're in? Sometimes they have one industry. If it's a mill town, then it might only have one. But then they also might have expanded and have multiple kinds of industries that are available there. Number 2, what is the government like? The government is in charge of enforcing laws and local policies and things like that, and keeping the people safe. So what kind of government is it? How often does it meet? What are their responsibilities? If you're in the United States, what is different from that local government versus the state government, or maybe a larger city government? I don't know, but that's something that you would need to look for and understand. Third, what about demographics? What are the people like? Is there a particular ethnicity that has a larger representation in this particular area? Is there a language spoken above others in the area in terms of number of people speaking that language? What are the demographics? Are people typically rich or poor? What is the average family size? Do they have children? Are they a young community or an aging community or maybe an older community? What does that look like? Topography. What is the landscape like in the area? And that's important because we want to know if perhaps the city might be landlocked, and so it can't go anywhere or grow anywhere, and so it might not get any bigger, but it might get more and more crowded. Do they have access to a lake? If they do people like to use that lake for recreation? Or are they using it as a food source? Those are some things to think about. Are they in the mountains? If they are, then how is that affected? Or are they in a valley? And what difference does that make for the people that are there? So topography, we might not think of that as being very important, but it really is. Just ask San Francisco, being landlocked, and the issues that they're facing there within their city, and realize that topography can be pretty important. Agriculture is another one. What kind of things do they grow in that area? Maybe their economy is not dependent upon farming, but maybe that they're known for producing something that's really, really important. Perhaps hazelnuts or tulips or bees. Those kind of things might be important. Housing. What is the housing like? What is the housing market like within the area? Is it comprised mostly of dense population housing, so like apartment complexes? Are they high-end apartment complexes or low-end apartment complexes? A blend of the two? Are the houses there pretty expensive or relatively middle of the line? Or are they smaller, younger family starter homes? Those are all questions that help us learn more about the community and what is going on. Education. How's the schools doing in the area? Are they overcrowded? Do they need to be building more? Are they doing okay? Do people like to work there? By people, I mean teachers. Do teachers like to work within the school system? And are the school systems adequately preparing people to go on to university? Or is their primary concern just helping people graduate college and maybe go into a trade school or a community college, get their associate's degree? Those are things to think about. And then finally, recreation. What do people do for fun? That tells you a lot about people when you ask what they do for fun. Because if you're in an area where they're rock climbing or skydiving, then or golfing, those might be more expensive sports to get into. But if it's just hiking or going out to a park or sitting down with some friends and watching a movie, that tells us something else entirely. So let's get to the fun piece. This is the action piece where we start putting this together. Because I know you've got to be scratching your heads going, okay, are we spying out this city and how are we doing that? And I'm not quite sure that even sounds okay. And all of these big words like topography and education and housing are really starting to intimidate me. Well, never fear. We're going to turn this into something super fun. So here's what you're going to do. Each person in your group is going to produce scavenger hunt questions around the topics that I just suggested. So you might want to rewind this and revisit those modern equivalents of this passage, or go through the passage and come up with things of your own. So you're going to look at them and you're going to say, okay, how do I develop a scavenger hunt question that would help me learn something about education? That would help me learn something about housing? That would help me learn something about the demographics within this community? And what you're going to do is that each member of your group is going to write 10 different scavenger hunt style questions and submit them to your group leader. And your group leader will look at those and pick the best ones or the ones that are more applicable and easy to understand and assemble them into a scavenger hunt that then you guys will take and have a great fun with. But I'll get to that in a moment. So let me give you some example questions, because I know you're like, what? And you may not have been on a scavenger hunt before, but they can be a lot of fun. So here are some examples. So let's say economics. In an economic question or a scavenger hunt question might go like this. Talk with 5 local business owners. Ask them to tell you what it's like being a small business owner in this community. Pictures or it didn't happen. So you have to take a picture with every single one of those business owners outside their place of business. And if you fulfill that, get all 5 stories and 5 pictures, then you get 10 points for your team. Government. Ask a member of the local government to list 3 local meetings residents should attend regularly. Pictures with the representative or it didn't happen. So who knows? They might sit there and say you need to visit your Chamber of Commerce meeting. Or they might go, your local PTA or PTO meeting at your school is really important and you should be a part of that on a regular basis. Demographics. Look up the most recent census data online. List the top 10 languages spoken in your community. And if you do that, you get 5 points. Topography. Ask 3 people about their favorite parks in their community. Get pictures of your team having fun in 2 of those parks. 10 points. Agriculture. Research the local farmers market and learn what kind of things are sold there. Buy a sample of one of the products to share with your group. 10 points. Housing. Take photos of 5 different places where people live in your community. 5 points. Education. Take videos of your team doing push-ups or sit-ups or jumping jacks outside of each school, elementary, middle, and high school in your community. And if you do that, you get 25 points. Recreation. Ask 5 local people their favorite things to do out in their community on their day off. And if you do that, you get 10 points. So I'm sure you guys could come up with much better activities and questions than that would help you get stories, information, photos, and video, and maybe maps and brochures and stuff like that from the community. The idea is, how can we gather information that will educate us all about the place that we call home, or the place that we have as our ministry focus, in a fun, exciting way that gets everyone involved. You see, a scavenger hunt like this is something that you should take your children on, because people see kids and they're like, oh, this is a lot of fun. And what do you do if people ask you what you're doing? You say, look, we're with a certain church or with a certain ministry, or we're just a bunch of group of friends that we're trying to get to know our community better. And so we have this scavenger hunt we designed, and we're out competing right now. Could you help us win? And I have not ever had a problem with anyone telling us no, or not wanting to be involved, or being very suspicious. Usually they're excited and they want to help you win. Particularly if you took your kids with you. They're a lot more friendly when they see kids, because they realize that this is a fun time, and they have a lot of good time with that. So after you've created those questions, you've turned them into your group leader. He or she is going to take those questions and come up with a scavenger hunt with a possible number of points. And the group that gets back by the deadline with the most number of points wins. And it's a friendly match, so I'm not sure there's any prizes unless you guys want to come up with some. But it's a lot of fun to be able to do that. And then to bring your laptops and share your photos and show the videos and all of that. So that's the second thing, is that you're going to set a time to actually go on the scavenger hunt. You're going to divide into at least 2 teams if possible, and go have lots and lots of fun. This should be exciting. Now, action number 3 is, we want you to get some of the fruit of the land to the debrief meeting that you will share. So some of that fruit could be your photos and videos, and it may be food that you buy locally at a farmer's market or a local business that you want to share with people. It could be a pizza that you pick up at a local pizzeria that you'll share with group members, and you'll just have a great time. And then you'll sit down, and while you're laughing and eating and going through all the different things that you learned, you're going to share the stories and share your experience. And then every one of you is going to have a richer understanding of your community by the time you're done. And there's one last rule. Have fun. Have fun. One of the biggest things that you can do in engaging your community is just choosing to have lots of fun. Relax. It's going to be good. It's going to be okay. You're going to have a blast. And if you have fun, then people will associate you, that fun person, you, with Jesus later on. And they'll say, man, I like this Jesus because his followers, they have a lot of fun. And I want to be around people like that because they make my life better. So, you got your assignment. Go out into your community, have a great scavenger hunt, and I will talk to you again next session.